All right, my name's Justin, and this is AI for the Masses, and we are doing another devlog. This is day 7 of my devlog for the game Story of Someone, an indie game that I'm working on. And we're at the very beginnings of this game production process, for sure. But what I want to work on today for the second stream of the day is this might be a little bit of a distraction. Maybe I don't need this right this minute, but I just can't really help myself. I've been really thinking about my art assets and how things are going to work in the future. I am not an artist. I mean, not historically. I feel like, anybody can become creative in various ways at any point in their life. So I am up for the challenge of attempting to try and understand color theory, pixel art, and color palettes. So I've been doing a lot of studying on the side, off stream, on color palettes, how they work, and various pixel art. And I want to give you a little bit of a lead up as to where I have, like, what I've understanding that I've reached, and a first attempt at using a color palette that seems to be a good fit for me, and I'll explain why in a minute, and then using it as a starting point of trying to learn how to use proper color theory and color palettes to create pixel art, because even though Story of Someone is going to have procedurally generated, like heavy amounts of procedural generation, including the game assets like the creatures and the layout and things like that, I do feel like that I am going to have to draw a lot of the assets for, say, like the environment and things. And so I want to set on at least one initial color palette and really lock that one in. However, because my game is supposed to be a procedurally generated RPG, I do want the ability to control the mood of the game in a visual manner. I definitely am going to control the mood in a narrative and audio, like music and sound effects manner as well. But I feel like the visuals are a really strong part of mood. And I don't think in the past that I've appreciated it as much as I do now that I'm trying to make my own game. So, in an attempt to continue with my vibe coding personal challenge here, I have made my own pixel art development program. So a lot of people talk about using Aseprite, and I think it's a great idea. I think the Aseprite looks amazing. Again, it's just a personal challenge. I feel like we're at this new paradigm of being able to create software and personalize software. So I have already created a foundational pixel art program. Took me about 3 hours of effort, if I don't include some of the times that I just kind of like made some changes in when I was using it. But the initial creation of this pixel art program took me about 3 hours of my time to create using vibe coding techniques. And I want to make a big update to it today, and I thought it might be something interesting to put on the stream. What I want to do is I have been browsing around. I had some conversations with ChatGPT about color palette, and so I wanted to bring in this color palette. Dawnbringer 32 seems to be relatively popular and a very versatile color palette, and I liked it that it didn't necessarily have a particular vibe to it. Like there are other color palettes that were like very specific, like maybe had kind of like a purplish theme, or were a bit more washed out and maybe a more sullen mood, things like that. I didn't want to settle on any real obvious mood, not yet. So I feel like Dawnbringer has kind of a happy-ish mood, and the colors are quite quite obvious, at least to me, as to what their purpose would be for. And so I took this color palette. I had a conversation with ChatGPT about the game and things. And what I liked was that ChatGPT grouped the colors and gave them like general categories, and also put them in a two-dimensional grid. So we got the highlights, the light mids, the mid tones, the deep mid, shadows, core darks, but then it did the color like temperatures, and then the neutrals. And I'm like, this is great. This organization of this color palette in this way makes sense to me. So what I want to do is I want to take my pixel art program that I've already made, that I'll give you a quick tour of it in a second, where I was at first trying to like manually work on what is it? I wanted to manually work on the color theory. Like, if you know anything about color theory, then you know what words like complementary and triadic and tetradic mean. And why don't I open up that version right now, and you can see what it is that let's see if this works. Okay, I'm not covering up anything important up here in the top right. There's practically nothing up there. And so I can choose a reference color, and then I can create an analogous. So over here on my color wheel, it's pretty small, but there are actually one circle and 2 dots. And as I move around this color wheel, I am able to have this analogous color palette. I can change how wide the colors are apart from each other. And I mean, this is nothing new. If anybody understands color wheels and color palettes and color theory, then you know that I'm not inventing anything fresh. All I did was I wanted to make a program that is at my level. That's the point. I am not an artist, a visual artist, and I need to learn. So by having the most minimalist program that is like right at my skill set, or just above my skill set, I can start practicing, see the limitations, and not feel overwhelmed with having a user interface that has everything that an advanced artist would need. That was the point. So then I learned about complementary colors and how they work. So now I have 2 complementary colors opposite of each other on the color wheel, and I can change the angle of how far apart those colors are from each other. And then I have the ability to go monochromatic on the main colors of the analogous. So I can bring down, this create ramp is a button that was added recently that was an experiment and a little in the way, but I won't go too much into this. I just want to give you a little bit of a backstory as to how I got to this decision. So I can change the amount that the monochromatic, like the how quickly the monochromatic changes, and it can get pretty extreme where everything is white very quickly. So I've got the hex codes for all the colors on the boxes. It might be hard to see from your view, but there is a hex code on every single one of these. And I can even go to tetradic. So now I have 4 different analogous colors, and I can also change the angle of the complementary colors, and I have them in order as they go around the wheel. Okay, so I can put these down so you can kind of see a little bit better where they are. All right, so that's I can move the reference and it moves the entire thing, or I can move the angle to just change the other complementary color pattern. All right, well, that did very well for me for a while, and I was playing around with this and making pixel art, and I was definitely succeeding in making some interesting things at my skill level. However, I started to learn more and more about color theory, and I started to learn more and more about color palettes, why they exist, how they're useful, and why they can make a game much more beautiful and coherent if you use a color palette. All right. For anybody who's an experienced game developer, like, I'm not teaching you anything new. But what I want to do, and I haven't actually tried this explicitly yet, is I want to import the Dawnbringer color palette into this program. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this existing code base that I have, and there's other things about this that, for like creating animations or creating tile sets, that I'm kind of glossing over right now for this quick demo. I do have like a pencil and eraser, and in a later version I have a fill tool and flip and rotate and all that. Okay, so I can just show you real quick that oh, maybe I can't. Doesn't look like I can. Oh, it's because I have it on erase. So I can paste that tile in, and then draw some more, and paste the tile in on the next one, and then add some more colors and paste in. And you can see that it's also animating. So I have an animator down there. All right, so I'm going to keep all of this equipment that I have. Well, not the color pattern. So I'm going to get rid of the color patterns. And I'm going to get rid of all this analog and monochromatic options. And I don't even think I need the color wheel anymore. So I can get rid of all of this as well on the bottom right. And I want to integrate Dawnbringer 32 into my pixel art program. So I made a new instance of my program, and this is the code base for that. And over here in Gemini, I have pasted in ChatGPT's conversation about this color pattern and how it works and why it's good and all that. So hopefully I'm giving Gemini a lot of context as to what I want this for, and I'm going to add. So I'm also going to take my code, and I'm going to consolidate it into one text file that I can give to Gemini. And make sure it's the right one. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to give Gemini my code for the pixel art program. And then I have my rules for coding. So let me paste that in. Okay. And then my temperature is down to 0 because that's what my preference for coding projects. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to, let me get a little bit better mic position here. I'm going to give Gemini some instructions of what I want. So I want to integrate the Dawnbringer 32 color palette into my pixel art program. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but here are the tools and features of the program. I do not think I need any more. I think we can remove the color wheel and all the sliders for controlling. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of those sliders, even though I think I'm going to add some other sliders. They're not going to be those sliders, so I'm just going to get rid of sliders, and I'll ask it to add new sliders later instead of trying to repurpose sliders. Okay, so for controlling lightness, analogous, angle, etc. Also, I do not need the color pattern selections anymore. And what was the other thing I said? Let me open up a more recent version of the program. So this is the more recent version. I tried making my own color palette, and then also it kind of randomly shifts the hue, but there's too much similarity with these brighter colors, and there's a lot of like wasted like colors, and then it has this wild card. It was an interesting exercise. And again, like a lot of these exercises that I'm doing are in an attempt to try and learn from what gets created and trying them out. So I'm approaching this from an experimental perspective. Oh, the color patterns are already gone. Okay, so and the sliders. I don't need the sliders. I just need to get rid of the color wheel. So yeah, this version already. So I need to back up because I am actually using the code base for this version of the pixel art maker here. So I'm glad I opened this up. I don't need to even mention. I think I can move the color wheel. It's just the color wheel. And the regenerate button We will be integrating a 32 color palette, and the description below gives an arrangement for the colors or the color palette in a 2D array of categories. Please integrate the arrangement to the program for color picking. In place of the color picking palette that currently exists. Okay, so hopefully it understands what I'm trying to get across. What I'm trying to get across is that I want it to replace this color palette with the one that I'm providing, and in the arrangement that is attempting to be described down here. So hopefully it understands how this text is laid out. You know what I think I am going to do? Just to help it out, I'm going to take a screen capture of this particular, just to help reinforce. And where is the, the white and near black and true black. Okay, good. Yeah, I do like this this palette arrangement. And so I have also provided a screenshot of the arrangement of the color palette. Now I am trying to decide, if I was to bring up that screen again from ChatGPT, should I add the descriptions? I think I don't need it. I think I should get rid of that crutch, get rid of that kind of like that bias. It's already maybe just the maybe just the X and like the column and row labels, but not the individual color labels. I'm gonna do that. Please include the column and row labels for the color palette, but do not include the labels for the individual colors. Yeah, okay. think that'll do it. Let me just double check the program again. So I'm getting rid of the color wheel, but I'm going to include the color palette. Everything else I want it to stick around. I don't need the regenerate button. I still want to be able to paste and copy tiles and make grid arrays. I might be able to move this thing over more out of the way since the color wheel will be gone. And I still want to export, and I still want to see animations. So let's do this. Okay, run it. Okay, this should be interesting. Probably could have gotten rid of some of that extra stuff, like integrating DB32 in your procedural palette system. Place 2 grays you rarely use with per biome specialties toxic. Okay, I do kind of like the wildcards a little bit. But let's see. Hopefully it'll ignore some of those steps, those things in step 6, because I was like, look, I just want the color palette. Yeah, it should have, if I have to do it again, if it creates a problem, I'll definitely get rid of bullet 6 and 7. This isn't so bad. I don't mind having a little extra context. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it interprets all this. Oh yeah, it kept the format once, so it was in Markdown format, and it did a great job organizing the table. Okay, this is probably gonna take a couple minutes. In the meantime, what could we do? Hopefully it won't take too much longer. Yeah, I need to start well, eventually my game will get good enough that I can just start playing the game. Right now, I'd have to bring it up in VS Code, and well, I mean I could. This might take a minute. Wow. Let's see here. Let's open up the... Oh, I've never... Yeah, this will work. So the terminal loads. Yeah, my code base is getting rather large. Oh, I think it's done. Maybe we won't get this in time. Oh, what's all this? All right. Go back to the top. Okay, of course, as an expert game developer, I understand the importance of a well-curated color palette and a clean, focused user interface. Integrating the Dawnbringer 32 palette is an excellent choice for establishing a strong artistic foundation. Based on your request, we will remove the procedural palette generation system, which includes the color wheel and palette generator. This will simplify the application and remove the need for the regenerate button. We will replace the existing palette display with a new one that faithfully represents Dawnbringer 32's palette structure, complete with its value tier and role-based grouping. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to our folder that we were in. Let that get loaded back in. Here are the files that will be modified or flagged for removal to achieve this. So I agree with what it decided, how it interpreted my instructions. So these files are no longer needed with the move to a fixed palette and should be deleted from the project. So yeah, it's going to simplify things very much. Colorwheel.cs. All right, I'm just going to do what it says. So that's gone. And then you didn't have to write out all the code for it if I'm just deleting it. That's kind of weird. Okay. Palette generator. Yeah, why are you writing the code? Anyway, there it is, and deleted. And then, okay, kind of annoying. You could have just given me a list. Okay, updated files, project state.cs, and then on top of it, it's like it's doing the weird thing that it does sometimes, where it like doesn't print the entire code into one of its little boxes, but it's okay. And then UI config. So this one will be a little bit annoying. Then I'm gonna have to do multiple rounds of pasting here. Okay, I forgot to look at how big this code is, so let's do our best not to scroll past the bottom. There we are. And then there should be one more curly bracket. Okay, and then color palette.cs. Well, you're kind of embarrassing yourself tonight, Gemini. Okay. By the way, the code is still generating down below. Okay, then paste, and one more curly bracket. All right, then app context. So yeah, this is probably not the most entertaining thing to watch, this process here. So sorry, bear with me on this. But it is all part of the process, and it is incredibly quick compared to making all these edits on your own. I mean, you can pivot on a piece of software that you've been working on. And believe me, I've been like working some of these softwares that you're seeing me play with. I made 2 months ago, and now I'm like, well, I want to make a big change, so I don't have to go through and like review how all the software worked and figure out a solution. I ask the AI to review the code and then make the changes on my behalf, and it is incredibly powerful. Alright, and then main game. Is this going to be the last file? It's starting to look like it. Cool. Alright. Okay, save that. Alright, let's see how this works. I don't see any errors. I'm excited. Look at that. Okay, the labels are a little off. I might have to maybe offset their heights from each other so they're able to be read. But this is pretty good. Okay, and this palette feels like it makes some sense to me. So, like I said, I am not an artist, but let me attempt to like maybe make like a cube. And I'm just kind of like replicating what I felt like I saw in a demo. And then so if like the light is coming from the side, and then I think I colored that a little too far off to the right there on that other side of the cube. And let me add a point down here. Okay. Okay, I'm, for a first attempt, I'm reasonably happy with that. If I paste it, I feel like I'm kind of looking at, I think what I should have done, I think I should have made the top. Let me turn this animation off. Probably should have made the top the brighter piece. How about if I do this? Like the light's coming from above and to the left. Oh, I have a fill tool, so I'm being silly. I'll paste this over here and make a comparison. Ah, yeah, okay. I like that. And again, I'm like patting myself on the back because I'm not an artist. So to have a color palette and to feel like I understand like the fundamental point of the color palette, and I'm able to use it, and it's got the great it's got these great labels too to help me out. This is a great start for sure, and I can hone my skills over time. So we've got skin tones, and then dirt. We've got basically plants, and then we can have shadows, so we can have trees with leaves that are in the sun and leaves that are under the shade. We can do water. We can do dungeon effects. We can have stone and like rock, gray rocks, and maybe even some brown hues for the rocks. We have our true black and our true white, which I've been seeing that having the true black and true white is not necessarily like what people like to do, and I might actually shift this white down just a little bit. And the true black, this might be my black for the color palette, but I'm not sure yet. We're gonna see. Maybe I could do a ramp in between these two colors, and maybe in between these two colors, and then make the color ramp, the white, and the ramp between these two the black, just to kind of soften the blackness a little bit and the whiteness a little bit. But otherwise, I like this. I forget what the label was for this one. Let's go back to what ChatGPT was talking about. So there's fire red and rose. So it's just red accents. We got a magenta, a near black, and a true black. Yeah. And immediately, the fact that I was able to I'm gonna pin this. I think I can unpin this one. I don't think I need this one anymore. Okay. So yeah, the fact that I was able to immediately just draw a cube that to me looks like it has a light source above and to the left. That's a big win for me. So great. And I'm going to definitely run with this. Let's get these labels a little bit oriented better. Let me see if I can ask if it has control over the labels there. I didn't adjust any sort of a config file. Oh, UI config. All right. So are these labels placed anywhere? Here, I know what I'll do. I'll take a screenshot. I got to run the program again. And then I'll take a screen capture of these labels, or this whole color palette. And go back to Gemini. The labels at the top of the color palette are overlapping. Could you give me the control of their placement on the screen in the UI config.cs file? Is it a CS? Yeah. File. So I may move them around. So I'm not asking it to just solve the problem. I want to ask it to give me control. That's what I did for the original color palette program, and I just feel like it when it comes to like the user interface, the AI can't really see what's going on, and so has difficulty just changing the code for you. But we'll see what happens here. So it'll give me the ability to change the coordinates, and it'll probably also make the change. And we'll see how well it attempts to make the change, and then it should also give me the ability to toggle those changes and make my little tweaks as I see fit. So I might solve two problems at the same time with this prompt, but we will see. I always feel like Gemini is slower during my later streams. I wonder if that is a actual trend or if it's just my imagination. Okay, of course, the overlap labels result in the positions being calculated automatically based on the width of the color swatches below them, which doesn't account for varying lengths of the label text. Okay, to fix this and give you full control, I will add a new config. So yeah, let's just cut to the chase and all right, so trying not to be too annoyed. Ooh, we're changing more than one file. With the fact that I can't just copy the entire code. Because poor me being so... I mention this almost every time this happens. That it's like... You're getting pretty spoiled, or I'm getting pretty spoiled, if I'm already starting to complain that I have to paste twice. Instead of once. It's okay. Okay, color palette. All right, let's see how it looks, and then we'll see if I need to make any changes. Let me go ahead and pull up UI config. Uh-oh, what's going on? Oh, it's because I never closed the program. My bad. There we go. Okay, so didn't quite fix because they're not placed over. So what I want to do is, and maybe I should have been more clear. I want them to be over their columns. It's not a problem. I just want to be able to change the height. So where are we putting our labels? I am not... Okay. So here are the colors themselves. Are the labels in here? I may have to ask it. Single tile, file name, input width. Sprite sheet tile. No, I don't think that's it. The color wheel stuff is still in here. Should ask it to remove anything that's related to obsolete files. I think I'm going to do that. Can you tell me where the coordinates of the labels for the columns of the color palette are controlled also? Could we make sure that we can also control the height of the labels? I noticed that there seem to be UI config settings for obsolete code. Could we remove the unnecessary config settings? All right, let's see if this ends up being too much for it to think about. I don't think it will be. Yeah, I it's not obvious to me where the height of the labels are. Color palette config, okay. You start, yeah, go right. I mean, it definitely moved the labels apart from each other a little bit more. Oh, here we go. Okay, so these are the z-axis offsets. Oh yeah. Oh, I like that. That's cool. It's all just in an array. Yeah, just give me the vertical offsets too. That'd be great. That's perfect. Of course, you made an excellent point. Okay, control column, label coordinates, label height, remove obsolete settings. Okay, so UI config. Here we go again. Oh yeah, that felt shorter. Okay, and then color palette again. Oh, it doesn't want to quit that way. Okay, no problem. All right, let's see what happens. And let me go to UI config. See if I can find that array again. Okay, so it didn't change the height. But are you allowing me... No. So I'm going to have to ask it to make the necessary change. So I'm going to... controls the vertical position of the column headers. Yeah, but I don't want to do it all at once. I want to do it for each individual one. All right, this is much better. Could we make the vertical offset for the column labels in the same format as the horizontal offsets, like this? Yeah. Okay. Paste this in and I'll look afterwards. Okay, and then color palette again. Okay. First, let me take a look. All right, so they're still on the same level, but hopefully I can go here. Yes. All right, so I don't know, maybe it's a 12 font, so offset by 14 and 14. Okay, better. All right, now how much should I offset the horizontal? Let's go 0. And then I'm going to go like 70. And then I feel like this one should be like maybe 150. And then the last one, that needs to come back like maybe like about 200. It's like way off to the right. Okay, better. All right, so warm ramp. You know, I'm going to do this like -20. I'm going to try and center it better. Cool ramp is nice. You know, I wonder if I can I change the label? So probably color palette has the actual text in its code. Let's see if I can find it. Probably should just do a Control F. What do we got here? Okay, because yeah, here we go. So if I was to do, I don't know how to do new line. All right, I'm gonna have to ask in C#, how do you do new line for text? Let's see if I can just get it centered first, and then I'll worry about new line, because maybe I can stack the label. If I could stack the labels, stack the text, then maybe I can have everything kind of actually starting at the same height and just a little higher up. Yeah, why don't I just ask? That just seems like a more elegant solution. For C#, how do I escape command in a string for the new line character? Okay. In the meantime, you can probably still kind of play around with this. So I still like -20 for the warm ramp. If I can stack cool ramp, a green under cool ramp, I think it's good where it is. The blues and violets are pretty, well, they're not going to be centered if I stack blues and violets vertically. And then neutrals / utility is a little too far to the left with my current plan. It's an expert developer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good for you. Access does compiler. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. So, okay. So it's a \n as I was thinking. So I just, let's do that. Let's do it here. And then let's do it there. All right. Let's run this again. Okay, looking better. All right. One step at a time. So we're going, so -20 looks good. But I think I'm going to go ahead and, oh, okay, so 14 brought it down. Of course it did. I'm silly. All right, and then blue, so cool ramp looks good. Blues and violets needs to move to the right a bit. Maybe like to 200. So, or maybe it's like, is it every 100? So maybe it's 180. And then this would be 280. That makes sense. That doesn't seem like that's enough of a shift, but that's okay. Let's not overdo it. Let's see how close we get on this round. Okay, close. Almost everything is centered. I feel like I could bring cool ramp like just a little bit more to the left. Blues and violets could be a tiny bit more to the left as well. Maybe I'll go a little bit more than that. And then this could probably be 260. And then the heights, they actually need to go up. So let's go -15. And then instead of me typing every single time, let's copy, paste, paste, and paste. Okay, let's see how well that looks. I like it. I think I could move blues and violets to the right just a little bit. And this is just me being like super nitpicky at this point. And you know what? I'm going to move the slash to the next line. So we're going to new line here instead. Yeah. All right. Hopefully this is the last one. Okay. I think I moved blue and violets a little too far. And neutrals. I could do 265. I mean, now I'm being like really nitpicky. But since I can, it's not hard. Let's just do it. Okay, I'm happy. All right. I think this is a superior pixel art making program. And I think now I could easily do animations, be consistent with the game. The next step in my color theory, was it like understanding, like my personal journey of understanding color theory will be, can I just shift this color palette to create a cooler look, or change the mood, cold, warm, dark, monochrome, things like that. So that would be an interesting thing. And can I swap color palettes? So if there's a different color palette that has a different vibe, but has the same sort of like category class, now I might not just be able to do a one-to-one swap of a pre-made color palette, but that's why I'm thinking like the shifting. If I can just shift things in a way, if I can understand color theory well enough that I could just shift all of these colors in themselves, then I would start, what I would want to do is I would start making my assets based on the color's position in the palette. And so I could do a color palette swap, and it would change the whole mood of the color scheme while still maintaining the function of the color. So like a light mid, like that cube being like the source of light, and then this side is on the side but still kind of pointing towards the direction of light, but then the other side of the cube is in the shadow. Then that would allow me, if I could just do a shift, I could make a darker version. So maybe it's darker and cooler. So I could shift this entire section a little bit more into the blue and bring down the brightness. But it's still supposed to be like earth tones. And then I could bring the greens, I could bring down the brightness and shift towards the blue. Bring down the brightness, shift deeper into the blue. Things like that. And then if I want to warm everything up, I just do the opposite, increase the brightness and shift to the more towards the yellow and the orange, and so on. Now maybe I need to shift at different rates for different categories, and those are the things I want to learn. So that right there, I think, was a major upgrade to my pixel art drawing program. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm going to end the stream there for this category, and I'm going to start a new stream with where I'm going to try and make a couple more improvements on my battle arena prototype for my game, The Story of Someone. So, check out that one as well. All right. Well, thank you for your attention on this. I had fun doing it, and I hope you got to learn something about what AI is capable of doing and helping make your own software. So that way, the way I think of it is, like, if you're a kid, when you're born, your parents pretty much only speak just barely above your speaking level. So when you're first born, they speak, the babies speak, the goo-goos and the gagas. But as you start to be able to make words, then they slowly start to use more words around you that you don't know. And they try to teach you more words. And as you start to put together sentences, then they start using slightly more complicated sentences. So it's been shown, I forget where I saw this information, some sort of a study or a documentary, that parents will speak just above a child's current speech ability. And we're just kind of naturally tuned to be able to learn through observation when the difficulty is just slightly higher than where we're at. And this is what I feel like making my own software and learning the software and making it just above what I'm capable of using it for. That's kind of the metaphor I'm working with here. So if you like that idea, try it on your own things. And maybe you're trying to learn Photoshop or you're trying to use an audio program or something. AI can probably help you make your own software just above where you're at. All right, I'll see you in the next one. I'm Justin, AI for the Masses, and have a good night.